So, Congressman Babin, we're so happy to have you here with us today. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce the Congressman to our audience. Congressman Babin represents the 36th Congressional District of Texas, just north of Houston. He has served in Congress since 2015, and he is the co-chair of the House Border Security Caucus. Thank goodness. So regarding immigration, Congressman Babin has introduced several really important pieces of legislation. For example, he's authored legislation that will cut foreign aid and deny travel visas to countries who refuse to accept or unreasonably delay the acceptance of their own nationals once they've been ordered deported. He's also introduced two key bills in 2021, one that would limit birthright citizenship and another that would grant funding to states to build barriers along the border. So anyway, Congressman Babin, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to talk to you about your fight for common sense immigration policy. And so let's just jump right into it. I'd love to talk about what's going on in Capitol Hill right now. So just to remind our viewers, Congress enacted a temporary spending bill on September the 30th, and that'll go for about 6 or 7 weeks, and that deadline is November 17th. We're only about 3 weeks away from that.
Yes, ma'am.
And then to complicate matters, the president has now said this request to Congress for foreign aid for Israel, Ukraine, and maybe some funding for border security efforts. So given this great mix of things that's going on, we've got a deadline coming up. What do you think the chances are for real, meaningful policy changes to be added to any of these bills?
Thank you, Julie. Well, it's good to be with you. I'll tell you what, to me, border security is one of the most important, if not the most important thing, because it encompasses so much of the threats that we have to this country today, whether it be terrorism, economy, public health, criminal activity, you name it. The border is going to impact that. But your question is very valid. We don't have very much time left until the funding streams are going to run out, and we'll hit the shutdown mode.
Yeah.
So we have a very narrow majority, but the good news is that we just elected a very strong pro-secure the border, Speaker of the House.
That's good to hear.
And I'm looking forward to him really standing up very strongly. And using our power of the purse, we have an opportunity, I think, even with the narrow majority that we have, of getting some legislation, especially pulling parts of our great bill, H.R. 2, Secure the Border Act.
Landmark piece of legislation.
Yes, ma'am. And we can get some of those provisions put into a must-pass bill and start using our power of the purse once again. The way it's intended by the United States Constitution. And I think that Mike Johnson will be just the speaker to lead us through this effort and really force the hand of the president and of Mr. Schumer over in the Senate and get some really meaningful provisions put in there that we can start securing the border. It's outrageous what we've been subjected to in the last 3 years of the Biden administration.
It is, and it's interesting. I was just about to touch on that. You know, over the last year, the new numbers came out, the new stats came out over the last weekend, and we've had over 3.2 million illegal aliens encountered on the border in just 1 year. That's more than all 4 years of the Trump administration combined.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're seeing a strain on our cities like never before. And certainly that affects border states like Texas. I mean, tell us, how are Texans handling this? What are your constituents telling you about this insane wave of illegal immigration?
They don't like it. Let me tell you, there's a lot of apprehension there. Certainly the economy's got to be right up there somewhere where because of the inflationary pressures that we're seeing today, where families are hurting badly. When they go buy their groceries or fill up their cars, try to buy a house, try to compete with foreign nationals for a job. And that leads me right into how we are impacted in our economy by an open border. Yeah. All of the above, which I said earlier. Everything is impacted by an open border. And quite frankly, it's more then you just mentioned what'd you say, 2.4 million?
Well, 3.2 total if you count
3.2.
if you count both the borders.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you, that's this fiscal year.
Yeah.
You're looking at 8 to 9 million since that have come across the border since Biden has taken office, and if you throw in gotaways in there as well,
1.7 maybe.
The ramifications of of a gotaway, when you can see how easy it is for someone to come in, just give up to the Border Patrol and say, I'm here to seek asylum, and they're basically coming in, they processed, and then they're given a bus ticket or a plane ticket anywhere they want to, any town they want to in the United States of America. So if you have that many gotaways, that tells you they don't want to be caught.
Exactly.
Who are these people?
Scary.
What kind of criminal behavior have they had in their past? What kind of terrorist watch list have they been on?
Yeah.
And we know that they're out there. And so it's chilling to think of the ramifications of this type of open border that has been caused by Alejandro Mayorkas is our DHS secretary and President Biden.
What do you think is your constituents want to hear the most when you come back on weekends and you go back and you talk to your constituents? What are you telling them about what the government is doing? I mean, what do they want to hear most about your world and what Congress is doing to address all this? I mean, what do they say is most important to them? Do they understand that throwing money at the problem won't solve anything?
Well, I think some of them do. Others don't. Every state is a border state now. Every county. I represent, my district is not just northeast of Houston. I represent from Houston all the way over to the Sabine River in Louisiana.
Wow.
So we have 9 counties. And quite frankly, we're impacted just like every other district. In fact, we're going to probably get to this later. I even have a community of illegal aliens inside my district that is greatly impacting a particular county that I represent. But people want to see that we're doing something, and because they know that we have been thrown to the wolves by the Biden administration, that they are intentionally leaving the border open, and incredibly, no one can figure out how in the world a leader who swears an oath of allegiance to uphold the laws of this country can just advertise that we have an open border and continue to let people come in who are sick, who are multiple times deported, convicted felons already, are on the terrorist watch list. How can an elected official of the United States of America allow this to continue? So they want to see something being done, and they know that the Republican Party, they expect that we can do a lot more than we really can with just 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. Because that's what we have basically, Julie. We got a very narrow majority in the judiciary. in the legislative branch of our government, and so quite frankly, they want to see some results, and we've got to show them results and tell them the real story, that we have to stand up to the administration and do things in a way that's smart. To do these things, like I said, put these provisions for border security in a must-pass bill that Democrats are going to want to have.
Well, to your point now, I mean, it's sad. It's actually tragic that Congress is at the point where they have to force our president to enforce our immigration laws. I mean, the president could take steps today, right, to solve this matter. I mean, what do you think? What would you tell him to do if you had a chance to talk to him about immigration? I mean, what could the president do right now, today, absent legislation, to start fixing this problem?
He could be doing what we told him to do before he even took office, after the election. We told him to stay the course with remain in Mexico. With Title 42, with interior enforcement, deporting people who've had their day in court, to continue the negotiations with Mexico and other countries to take these people, and they haven't. They didn't listen to a thing that we advised them to. And as the co-chairman of the House Border Security Caucus, I have led delegations down to the border a number of times.
Fantastic.
I've been on to every state on our southern border, from San Diego on the Pacific Ocean all the way to Brownsville and the Gulf of Mexico, and every state in between. And incredibly, they are ignoring their oaths of office. They're intentionally endangering the lives of American citizens. They are looking the other way when fentanyl comes pouring in. And let me tell you something. This is not a harmless little deal that's just going to give them some more votes if you enfranchise these illegal aliens. This is killing 100,000 plus Americans every single year. Every day,
Terrific.
300 Americans are dying of drug overdoses that are coming across that southern border. And then the terrorism that we're seeing. After we saw Hamas and they invaded Israel and committed heinous atrocities, let me tell you something. We know the reports are that Hezbollah and Hamas and other terrorist groups are coming in. And I think it's just a matter of when, not if, we are attacked again because of these open borders. It's incredible that the danger that this administration has exposed the American people to.
Yeah, I agree. And it's hard to argue. I mean, all this money for foreign aid, and, people's opinions might be different on the conflicts. But, from our perspective, we're asking the question, what's the point of fighting terrorism overseas if you're just going to leave our borders open and invite all the terrorists up through our southern border? I mean, we need to be able to fight terrorism here at home as well.
Yes, ma'am, and that's there's no question about that. Here we are spending billions of dollars for Ukraine's border, and we can't get this administration to do some meaningful things. In fact, on the state of Texas, I'm very proud to be a Texan because our state government has really pushed back with Operation Lone Star. I wish they pushed back more. I can tell you, I would like to see even more. But out of the 9 counties that I represent, 7 of those counties have county resolutions that said this is an emergency situation and an invasion. They are declaring what's going on at our border an invasion. And I think that should be enough so that our governor can and has finally did declare an invasion at the border. Article 4, Section 4, Article 1, Section 10 says that we have that right to protect ourselves when the federal government doesn't do their required mission, and that is to keep each state safe from invasion. And that the Constitution states in Article 1, Section 10 that we can't wage war in the states unless we're being invaded, and unless that time it is such an emergency that it will not permit any delay. So the state of Texas has the right to protect themselves.
And they're doing a great job. I mean, just think what would happen if they weren't fighting this fight. If they weren't fighting this fight, if they weren't helping, they're really helping all Americans by standing up and saying, no, not on our watch. We're going to do something.
Look at the mayor of New York City. He wants them to secure the border now. It took him a long time to come around, but he's experiencing just a microcosm up there in New York City to what we're seeing every single day. I mean, we had 269,000 people come across that border last month, and down at Eagle Pass, we're having tens of thousands come in. I think they've had 2 days where they had 11,000 people come in on those two occasions.
I know, this wave of illegal immigration, it's going to crush our institutions if we don't get a handle on it.
It's happening right now, Julie. It really is. We're having to compete. Our American citizens are having to compete with illegal aliens for jobs. The inflationary pressures that we're seeing, it's getting harder and harder for the average American citizen to go out and get a loan and buy a home today. And a lot of that has to do with the illegal aliens, and the money we're spending is contributing to this, these inflationary pressures that we're seeing today. We're having to medicate, incarcerate, and educate these people that are coming in by the millions every day. And quite frankly, I mentioned one county in particular in my district that has been impacted, and that's Liberty County, Texas, and a place there called Colony Ridge.
I was going to ask you
That's
about
right.
that. I was
Yes, ma'am.
just about to, and there's been quite a controversy around that. There's certainly been some problems with crime in the area, but I think a lot of our members, our audience, may not be familiar with it. So why don't you just explain to our audience what's the controversy down there? What's been going on?
Well, the controversy is that, in fact, about 3 years before I was even elected, maybe 4 years before I was elected, a developer began selling property to non-citizens, basically. Now, I'm not saying everybody in this community is a non-citizen. I think there are probably some citizens in there too, but he only requires an I-10, and that they don't have to show proof of citizenship to get an owner-financed loan for their lots in this particular community. And over the years, I've been worried about this. It keeps me up at night when we're thinking about the impact that this is having on my constituents in Liberty County and all of East Texas, quite frankly. And I've seen the school district that that is encompassed by this particular community has quadrupled.
Really?
Quadrupled
Wow.
over the time that I've been in office. I've been trying to get attention to it for basically the whole time I've been in Congress. And now I think folks are waking up and seeing just the impact. Here we are 300 miles from the border, Julie,
it's a
and
ways.
we're being impacted in this regard. We know there's cartel activity there. We know they've had 4 overdoses just in the last week or two in Cleveland
goodness.
Independent School District. We've got situations there where missing persons. We've had people found dead in their cars. We've had gunfire, automatic gunfire at nighttime. We've had first responders who have been fired on when they go into this particular area. I flew over it after Hurricane Harvey a few years ago, and then I flew over it again a month or two ago, and it looks like it's doubled in size. And it encompasses about 33,000 acres, and it has got a footprint about the size of Washington, D.C.
That's
It's
a
amazing.
big development.
I went and I met with for about 3 hours with the superintendent of Cleveland Independent School District a few years ago, and he showed me the plat of this area and the desperate need they have for bilingual educators, which they can't find enough of, and not having enough school buildings because they're growing at so fast a rate. The fastest growing school district, I think, in the state of Texas. Maybe,
my goodness.
Maybe even somewhere ranks up high, even in the United States.
And you said it's 300 miles from the border.
Yes.
That's
yes,
amazing.
ma'am. It really is. So it's been a great concern to me, and I'm just hoping that they're in a special session right now. I led my.
This is the Texas legislature?
Yes, ma'am. I wrote we composed a letter to the governor of Texas and to the attorney general of Texas, which was signed by all 25 of the Republican congressional delegation of the state of Texas, asking them to investigate this whole
That's
thing and
fantastic.
see what kind of remedy we can come up with during the special session. Because I'm a big states' rights guy, and I think the state of Texas should have the opportunity to be able to fix this problem because, quite frankly, we've got Joe Biden in office in the White House and Chuck Schumer leading the majority in the Senate. The chances of us passing something meaningful on border security are pretty tough right now at this particular point in time. So hopefully they will investigate this, and there will be some remedies that there will be before someone can get a loan that they have to show more than an I-10 and have proof of citizenship. This is we love the American dream. We want people to come into the United States and live the American dream, but they have to be legal. And I've got a Brazilian daughter-in-law who did it the right way. She was naturalized. She is a citizen of the United States now. And we want everyone to have the chance to live the American dream. And when you're having 8 to 9 million people come across illegally, invited in by this administration, it makes it tougher for everyone to live the American dream. Something's got to be done in this area.
Oh, I agree. Well, I know your time is valuable. Thank you so much. Just as a final message, with all this stuff, these aid packages, spending bills, everything that's facing Congress right now, what message would you like to send home and to the American people when it comes to immigration?
We want the American people to know that we're standing up for them, that we believe in the rule of law in this country, and that next year is a big election year. Let's hope that we put someone that will honor their oath of office, enforce the laws, and that includes the immigration and this border security laws, and pass legislation that will stop this nonsense, or we're going to be in bad shape. The greatest country in the history of this green earth, God's green earth, is in great jeopardy now because of open borders. That's what I want our people to understand, that we're serious about this. And we intend to exert our authority, the power of the purse that we have, and start securing our border.
Well, that's a great message to end on. Thank you, Congressman. It's been a delight to have you here today. Maybe sometime you can come back and update us
I'd love
on how
to,
things
Julie.
are going on the Hill, how things are going in your state. We'd love to hear more.
Look forward to that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you all are doing here at FAIR.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thanks.